Now, a Fox 40 News special report, water crisis.
Just hours from now, thousands of people in the city of Jackson as well as parts of Byram will turn on their faucets to find little or no water, and the situation could last for much of the weekend. Thank you for joining us for this Fox 40 News special report. I'm Mike Sands. Melissa Faith Payne will be joining us in a few moments. Now, over the next 30 minutes, we'll give you all the information you need to know to get through Jackson's water crisis. First, let's get you caught up on the basics. Now, officials are shutting off part of Jackson's water system tomorrow at 3 p.m. so they can make critical repairs to a large pipe. The pipe, which runs off Forest Avenue, is leaking in 3 different places. Now, the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency estimates about 40,000 customers could be affected for up to 30 hours. Now, let's give you a look at who will and who could be affected by this water outage. Officials expect it to include an area stretching from Northside Drive in Jackson south to parts of Byram. Customers living north of Highway 80 could only end up dealing with low water pressure, while those south of 80 may have little or no pressure. Now, as we mentioned, the main problem site is on Forest Avenue in North Jackson, where water's been gushing from a broken water line for weeks now. It's where we find our Melissa Faith Payne. She has a look at the situation right now. Melissa?
Yeah, Mike, I can barely hear you over the roar over this water here, and it's pretty impressive, as you can see for yourself. It's almost an attraction here in this area. Since we've been here, we've seen several people actually driving by to see for themselves where this water is gushing from. We were out here just last week. Even though the water is just as impressive now as it was last week, I can see where they've done some work here and they've made this hole a lot bigger out here. So what we're talking about is a 48-inch transmission line. That's what they're working with here. The Public Works Director said that these pipes have been here since the 1990s, and this is, he called it pre-stressed concrete, and he says it's a little bit of a challenge when it comes to doing the construction and the work that's going to be necessary here. You mentioned that it's broken in 3 different areas. They're going to have to go in and replace a section of pipe out here. So this is where they're going to be over the next several days starting tomorrow. We kind of took a look around at what's happening out here. Already you can see some things out here. They've got these orange barrels. No doubt they'll have dozens of these out here to keep people away and to keep the workers safe, probably shutting off this road as they're out here doing this work. Already huge pieces of equipment out here. That backhoe probably will be used to help make this area a lot bigger so that the crews can get in and do the work. And I'm just going to let you know what the conditions are like out here right now. You may not be able to see it, but over this way, some standing water. We have been fighting mosquitoes since we have been out here already, so that's something else that the workers will have to deal with as they are out here working on this area. Now, there are two different construction companies that are going to be out here doing this work, and the purpose of that was they hired the 2 construction companies so they can get this work done in a timely manner. The idea is to cut the water off at 3 p.m. on Friday. Hopefully it'll be back on 3 p.m. on Sunday. That's why they have the 2 different independent construction work companies out here to be doing that. And of course, once that happens, they'll put that boil water notice in effect. And Mike, we're going to be out here all throughout the special, bringing you updates and just kind of giving you a live look at where all of this is happening and what's going on. And we'll check back in with you just a little bit later. Mike?
Thank you, Melissa. Now, if you are affected by the outage, there are several places you can get water. Starting tomorrow, the city will hand out water at 3 distribution points. Precinct 1 at 810 Cooper Road, Precinct 2 at Metro Center Mall, and on the West Street side of Veterans Memorial Stadium. Residents can pick up a case of water tomorrow from noon until 6 p.m., then again Saturday from 8 a.m. until the water runs out. Well, Jackson Police Chief Lee Vance, for his part, urging residents to prepare now for this weekend's water outage, purchasing enough bottled water while storing water in your home.
Well, the way to avoid a crisis is to take action before you find yourself in a crisis situation. So coming from my perspective as police chief, I just want to urge Jacksonians, go and take care of this now.
And those left to make preparations for the weekend include hospitals. Fox 40's Morgan Wagner checks in with some local hospitals and doctors' offices to see how they are getting ready.
Merritt Health Central is the only hospital in the area that depends on the city of Jackson for its water. And it happens to be also right in the middle of where project managers are predicting could see little to no water when the pipes get shut off on Friday. But the hospital spokeswoman says a plan has been made, and she sent us this statement saying, in part, water trucks will be on site to keep our air conditioning, plumbing, and sewers fully operational. And we have stocked plenty of bottled water and ice for drinking, personal hygiene, and food preparation. Other hospitals that fall in this weekend's low water zone say they aren't worried. The Baptist Health System spokesman sent us this statement saying, in part, the water systems for Baptist Medical Center, the Hetterman Cancer Center, and the Colonnades Medical Office building is provided by a water well. We utilize approximately 240,000 gallons of water a day throughout those facilities, so this will not impact patient care. Also reached out to some local family practices. Most close at noon on Friday, and they aren't open on the weekend.
Well, coping without water for more than a day can be stressful, especially if it's in a large family in one household. Tonight, David Kenny has some useful tips to limit the impact when the water goes off.
To avoid problems with your refrigerator during a water outage, it's always a good idea to turn off your ice maker. Most ice makers will have a safety guard to prevent any damage, but you can do this just in case. If you anticipate your water could be shut off during this outage, one of the first things you're going to want to do is fill your bathtub with water. Now, this water here will come in handy for various uses. One of them, it will allow you to keep using your toilet when there's no water running to it. The first thing you're going to have to do is take the top off the back of the tank. There should be very little to no water in there. Now grab a pitcher, get some of that water that you saved in the bathtub, and then pour that into the back of the tank. You're going to have to do this every time you use the bathroom, but it will avoid a mess at your toilet, and your family will thank you later. If you have an electric water heater, you want to turn off the breaker to it before the water outage to avoid damaging it.
As if the water shuts off and the water drains out of the top of the tank, it will expose the element. And when it exposes and it tries to come back on, it dry fires, which means it will burn into, short out, and no longer work.
When the water comes back on, run the hot water for a bit to get all the air out of the line, then flip the breaker back on, and the hot water heater should work again. In Jackson, David Kenny, Fox 40 News.
We'll take a look at this. Local animal shelter Cara receives help in ensuring Jackson's four-legged residents have plenty of water this weekend. They posted these photos to Facebook of the city of Pearl donating tanks of water to the shelter and went on to thank Mayor Brad Rogers, Police Chief Tim Serrett, and the Pearl Fire Department. Well, there's water flying off the shelves as Jackson approaches this possible crisis. We head back to Melissa Faith Payne on Forest Avenue with the answer. Melissa?
Yeah, Mike, as you can see, with all this water flowing here, it is no surprise that people are really rushing to their local grocery stores and they're pulling the water off of the shelves. We have seen an influx of people buying water at the local grocery stores. Cash Saver by Vowell, that's over on Raymond Road. It is fully stocked with gallon containers and packed with bottled water. The manager says that the sales picked up on Monday. Customers have been emptying those store shelves ever since. They did receive a second shipment on Wednesday. Each truckload contains about 18 pallets of water. The customers are packing themselves up with water just in case.
The warehouse is so committed to us that we give them a call, they'll get it here within the same day pretty much. I called them yesterday at 3 o'clock and they had it here at 7 o'clock this morning.
And another shipment is due in on Friday, which of course is tomorrow, the day that that water is supposed to be shut off. Mike?
Thank you, Melissa. And right now we have a special section on our website dedicated to all the information you need on this weekend's water outage. Just head to msnews.com/water crisis. That's where you'll find maps of the outage along with tips on how to prepare. Straight ahead, we take you live to one of those water distribution sites. You'll also hear what the mayor has to say about the situation. Stay with us here on Fox 40. Here in the First Alert Weather Center with Dave Roberts, rain could impact the work that's supposed to be done this weekend on the water line.
We got a couple chances for rain over the next 3 days, so keep that in mind. And it could be a decent amount of rain. Right now on live First Alert Doppler radar, I'm tracking a few showers and storms out there. We're seeing them popping up in Lincoln as well as Pike counties right now, and also some showers in portions of southwestern Hinds County. But it's Scott County where we have the worst weather taking place at this moment. In fact, we're looking at a severe thunderstorm warning in effect right now for the Forest area. From Forest on down to the county line here, we are looking at very intense weather with some hail from this storm that's coming right now out of Raworth and just came out of Morton. It's moving along Interstate 20 and will continue moving off to the east. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 7:15. About 6,000 folks being impacted in the Forest down through Homewood community. Again, that's with that particular storm. Closer into the job site, though, this is what we're looking at. All right, we've got Watkins Drive here. Actually, make that 49 Watkins Drive up here, Livingston Road, and we go closer in, and this is actually the job site where they're going to be doing all the work over the coming days. All right, we do have a chance for rain developing again later on tonight from this cluster coming on down from the north, so keep that in mind. Here's how it's looking specifically when we factor in this. We've got some rain in here for tomorrow morning. It's a possibility, and then we've got more showers that could be developing as we get into Saturday. In fact, we'll put this into motion a little bit further. It's going to be later Saturday that we could be looking at some showers and thunderstorms, and very close to midnight on Sunday, some heavier rain moving on through early on Sunday, but then most of that should be moving on through the area. So just keep that in mind. Our free First Alert weather app, a great way to stay in touch with the weather information. That's exactly what we'll be doing for you all weekend long.
Thank you, Dave. Well, there are a number of water distribution sites set up across the city. One of them, Jackson Police Department's Precinct 2 at Metro Center, where Jessica Bowman joins us live now, continuing our team coverage on where you can receive water.
That's right, Mike. Take a look. We are here at one of the staging centers underneath this loading dock here at Jackson Police Department's Precinct 2. You can see pallets of water cover this staging area, docking station here at Precinct 2. Now, take a look at this video. Earlier today, Mayor Tony Yarber spent time handing out cases of water to the elderly and the indigent. Mayor Yarber and members of his team went to several different neighborhoods throughout the city, passing out bottled water. Now, Mayor Yarber says it's important residents are prepared for the temporary outage.
Well, I just want to celebrate the citizens of Jackson and people who are around Jackson who have actually been coming together to really make this thing as palatable as possible. We're seeing the kind of congeniality in this city and brotherly love that we hadn't seen in some time.
Now, Mayor Tony Yarber also told me that city offices will shut down at 2 o'clock tomorrow. So if you have any city business to conduct tomorrow, you want to make sure that you get to those city offices before 2 o'clock. Again, this is a staging area. You can be here starting at noon tomorrow at Metro Center Mall to get a case of water, 1 case per person. For now, reporting live in Jackson, Jessica Bowman, Fox 40 News.
Now, residents of Jackson not the only ones going to be affected by this water outage. And for more on that, we now go back live to Melissa Faith Payne with more. Melissa?
Yeah, Mike, you know, we're talking about 40,000 people with little to no water over the weekend, and that includes local businesses. We're talking about restaurants. We're talking about all sorts of businesses, including area hotels, which are expecting to take a huge hit. Our Patrice Clark has that story.
The Hilton Garden Inn in downtown Jackson won't be bustling with activities starting Friday afternoon. The city's water outage that's expected to affect more than half of Jackson has forced the popular business to shut its doors temporarily this weekend.
We really want to be more safe than sorry at this situation.
Now, the hotel says the water issue couldn't have come at a worse time. They had to reroute guests that booked rooms this weekend to other places, and that was not the only economic loss.
We had a young lady having a wedding reception here with us, and unfortunately we did have to cancel that. We wanted to make sure that she would have the proper facilities to have her event.
Over in Ridgeland, the water is expected to be flowing this weekend, which has a lot of people calling for rooms.
We do have water. We do have hot and cold water, drinkable water.
The managers at the Hyatt Place are preparing for a flood of residents and visitors who have either been turned away from their Jackson hotels or their reservations have been canceled.
We've got all of our regular guests coming in this weekend. We know Jackson is in a crisis situation. There's 40,000 plus people without water. We're glad we can help.
I did speak with managers at several of the area hotels who say they do expect an influx of local residents to try to check in to deal with this water crisis, and they say they are ready, willing, and waiting. Michael.
Thank you, Melissa. Well, those of you who need to take care of business at the Department of Public Safety, listen up. Doors to the Woodrow Wilson and Metro Center Mall locations are closing at 3 o'clock tomorrow because of the expected water outage. There's an alternative site, though, on Highway 468 in Pearl where you can go to for business. Straight ahead, we take a look at how this water crisis is affecting Jackson restaurants. Stick with us here on this Fox 40 News special report. Inside the boundaries of areas possibly affected by the water crisis sits the Mississippi Coliseum, host all week of the high school state basketball championships. 3 state title games scheduled for Friday after the 3 o'clock deadline, with 4 more games Saturday. And their biggest concern, if problems should arise, where will all those fans go to the bathroom?
Restrooms would be probably the biggest area here in the Coliseum would be affected, and Coliseum management has a plan in place there to bring in some portalettes. Water, as far as our teams are concerned, we can have bottled water in here if that's needed. But right now, we're being told Coliseum's not going to be affected, so we're going to go with that, and but we will be ready in case there's a need.
A local team scheduled to compete for state championships Friday and Saturday include Murrah and Velma Jackson. Now, with more on how this water crisis is affecting restaurants here in the capital city, let's head back to Melissa Faith Payne. Melissa?
Yeah, Mike, this impressive mountain of water behind me is causing some huge headaches for local restaurants. Their decision is a tough one. Should they stay open and deal with it, or should they just close their doors? Maybe it's not worth the hassle.
I mean, this could affect 40,000 people, they expect, the expectation is. So these guests, they're not leaving, they're not going anywhere, they have to eat.
The possibility of no water at Iron Horse Grill this weekend was not the news General Manager Andy Nessison wanted to hear, but he refuses.
It's going to bring everything in, your ice, your paper disposables, plates, cups, straws, the trash. Where do you put it all?
But Iron Horse Grill admits staying open and creating a plan is costly.
We'll see, just with this weekend alone, and then if they do a below water notice, which is the expectation after 3 o'clock on Sunday, you could be looking somewhere around $5,000.
Over at Sal and Mookie's Pizza and Ice Cream joint, General Manager David Joseph has decided to shut the doors during this weekend's water crisis.
We want to put our best foot forward for the guest every time, and kind of compromising our integrity of our food and what we do, that wasn't the right thing to do. We're going to honor the city, and we're going to make sure that we take care of our guests properly.
Although the owners of this popular pizza spot feel like they're making the right decision, they know the water outage and closing could have a negative impact on their bottom line.
The income level that we're going to lose, of course, is the loss. We have about 75 employees here in the building, and not only employees and customers, of course, it affects purveyors and people our orders and stuff like this. So it does affect quite a few people.
And of course, those restaurants who do have to stay open will have an added expense of those paper products and those porta potties. Reporting live here on Forest Avenue, Melissa Faith Payne, Fox 40 News.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you for joining us here on this Fox 40 News special report. And stay with Fox 40 throughout the weekend for the very latest on Jackson's water crisis. Don't forget, you can get instant alerts anytime with the free MS News Now mobile app. Good night, everyone.